Some officials are calling this a full blown riot, one that left several incarcerated people injured, some critically, inside of an Arizona state prison. I spoke with a loved one of an incarcerated man who is now hospitalized, who shared a heartbreaking account of the conditions that may have led to this moment. And this isn't the first time the Arizona prison system has come under fire for the conditions inside of their prisons. Let's get into it. So, the incident happened over the weekend inside of the renting unit at the Arizona State Prison Complex in Florence, which is a high risk unit that houses thousands of incarcerated people. Now, officials are calling this incident gang related, but many people are questioning that, given that a lot of the details are still unknown and prison officials have been slow to answer questions. What we do know is that several people were taken to the hospital and at least one person is in critical condition. Now, families say they were left with little to no information, and I spoke with a loved one of an incarcerated man who has been in this prison for decades on the condition that they remain anonymous. They told me that their family member has never been involved in any type of violence, yet is now seriously injured. They said the prison is severely understaffed and believe that this incident had been planned for a while. Sadly, they weren't even notified that their loved one was hospitalized until a day later, and they still don't know how he's even doing. They said the way officials have handled the situation is unacceptable. And understand this, y'all, this incident didn't happen overnight. Arizona prisons have been plagued with issues for the last couple of years. In 2025, there were 11 killings in Arizona state prisons since January of the previous year. Staff and resource shortages have made things worse and contributed to slow emergency response times, increased drug use, and more medical emergencies. Now, there are also reports of staff misconduct, including allegations of physical abuse like slamming or choking incarcerated people, excessive use of pepper spray, verbal abuse, and even retaliation, such as denying recreation privileges or guards falsely marking that someone refused to leave their cell. Now, conditions in Arizona state prisons are among some of the worst in this country. Thousands of incarcerated people are held in restrictive housing units, often spending more than 22 hours a day alone in a small cell with little to no human contact. Access to showers, recreation, and fresh air is usually limited. Now, some reports say that people have gone days without basic necessities. In certain situations, visitation privileges have been shut down for extended periods of time, cutting people off from their families and their loved ones completely. Now, in mental health units, incarcerated people with serious illnesses are sometimes treated like disciplinary problems instead of patients, and they often receive little to no therapy or support. Now, this kind of isolation can lead to psychological breakdowns, increased self-harm, and a higher risk of suicide. These conditions were at the center of a major federal lawsuit, Jensen versus Thornell. This lawsuit was brought by the American Civil Liberties Union, and in that case, incarcerated people described being denied basic medical care, waiting weeks or even months to see a doctor, having their symptoms ignored, and being left in severe, untreated pain. Some said infections went untreated, cancer was diagnosed way too late, and chronic illnesses like diabetes were not properly managed. Now, others reported missing or incorrect medications and delays during medical emergencies. Now, suicidal people were not properly monitored, and people in crisis were left without any therapy or medication. Now, Judge Rosalind Silver ruled that the system was grossly inadequate and violated the Eighth Amendment. The court found that officials knew people were suffering and failed to take action, which led to preventable deaths, permanent injuries, severe pain, and worsening mental illness. Even after the judge's ruling, the problems continued. The state repeatedly failed to follow court orders to fix these issues. A settlement reached in 2014 was later thrown out because of ongoing violations, and in 2023, the court ordered major changes, including staffing changes and improved healthcare. But after more than a decade of non-compliance, the court had to step in again. In 2026, Judge Silver ordered a federal receivership, which means that an outside authority will now take control of prison healthcare. The judge said this was a necessary step because of the prison system's repeated and constant failures. She also said these failures posed an immediate threat of harm and showed unconstitutional conditions that the state just refused to fix. Now, as loved ones of people incarcerated in the Arizona state prison system wait for answers about this latest incident, many are wondering if this could have been prevented. This isn't just about one incident that left multiple people hospitalized. It is about a pattern of inhumane and unconstitutional failures in the Arizona state prison system that create the conditions for something like this to happen in the first place.